Hey guys, this is Bo back in the house, man. I just want to say, as Wade was real forward with us, he had a bad day, and we had a bad day trying to set this up because the storm in Detroit rocked the house. So we want to say thank you to Wade. We want to let you know that we normally do it right on time, but life gets in the way sometimes, and luckily he's a man among men. He's got a big race coming up. We want to support him. Make sure you give him lots of love, guys. Talk to you later.
Hey everybody, this is Bo and the Z Sports Lounge. We're back in the house. This week we had Mayor Wild, we had Hot Sauce, new band from Detroit that's rocking it, from McDonald's all the way down to Tom Joyner's folks in Florida. They're hot. We also got now, right now live with us, is Wade Cunningham. He's the man driving the Indy Pro Series. How you doing, Wade?
I've actually had better days, to tell you the truth.
What has happened so far?
Well, today's practice and qualifying for the weekend, two events, and the first session I had to spin to avoid another car. Took two corners off the car, and then we were late to qualifying, and then were unable to qualify because we had lingering problems from the first accident, so not doing too good right now.
So, does that mean that you're not going to qualify for the race, or you're still trying to work on it right now?
Well, we're going to start the race in 20th. We didn't qualify. We didn't have a qualifying time, and so we're pretty much last. So it's going to be a tough day tomorrow.
And now, when you're in that 20th position now, what are things you're going to have to do now to alter what you're going to do to finish in the top 10 or even finish in first to help make that happen?
Well, we're going to take a gamble with setup. Obviously, the people at the front are the quickest guys, so to be able to catch them, we're going to make some major improvements, get lucky with track position. Hope there are a lot of yellows to keep the field close, and just get lucky overall, I guess.
Yeah, no, on the areas, everybody's got a certain preferences where they start making up time or gambling. Do you gamble on gas or you gamble on tires as far as your pitting? How do you work that out?
Well, our races are actually only 100-mile sprint, so we don't have the luxury of pit stops to try and make positions up. So when I say gamble, we do it with the setup, how we attack the race, and things like that.
Now, what separates you all from the Indy in the Indy Pro Series? What makes a little difference on there as far as your races?
For one, our cars are a little bit smaller. We have about 250 less cars than the Indy cars, and then we have less downforce, so therefore less grip. So it's just a scaled down version of the Indy car. I think we're about 5 or 6 seconds off at this track, so not too much, but I guess just enough to have some differentiation.
Wonderful. I mean, the cars, they're still going pretty fast out there on that from what we can tell and see on there. Now, when you talk about a short track, what exactly does that mean as far as in the track and who you go for? Where do you try to make up some time, and how do you hedge it off?
Well, with your gearing and downforce, you're always a bit of a compromise. More downforce, you run shorter gears, you have more grip, but you're probably going to be slower on the straight. So, you can opt to do the opposite. You can opt to go light downforce and longer gears, so you're quicker on the straights, but then you're going to struggle in the corners. Since the race has a lot of restarts, which means the field is going to be bunched up. If you're light on downforce, it's probably going to be easier to pass, but if you don't have those restarts, it's going to be a long day with a car that's not very nice to drive.
Now, we know what kind of situation you're in right now. We'd like to find out a little bit more about the background. How did you get involved in the Indy Pro Series?
I raced go-karts professionally in Europe for 2 years. And then I came to the States. I did the first sort of step on the ladder, which is called Formula 4 2000. And then after that, in 2004, it was time to move on, and the Pro Series was sort of the next logical step, and I've been here ever since.
And as far as the European racers and going to the Indy Pro Series, how has it been a nice jump up for you? What are some of the things that you enjoyed about this series?
Well, I was in America for one. It's a fabulous place to live. The lifestyle is nice. Weather's generally pretty good depending on where you are at the time. But the Pro Series is good because it's got a lot of prize money for a series of this stature, and that makes it a lot more affordable for the teams to be involved.
Absolutely.
And the more teams there are, the more competition there is. So right now it's pretty strong, and the teams are well funded, which is good.
Now, also, you've been training in boxing, from what I understand. Is that correct?
It's very. I train with a former amateur boxer, a female actually, and I just sort of find that boxing's good because it's unpredictable, and it's nearly everything that you need when you're in the race car.
Well, for example, a lot of people and I know I argue this point a lot of times on the show with a lot of athletes talking about drivers, as far as the pressures on your body, the G-forces, the turns, the accelerations. How has boxing sort of prepared you for the racing?
For one, your arms are in a similar position. When you sit in the race car, your arms are out in front of you the whole time. You know, so the shoulder muscles that get worked are very similar. And boxing is also very repetitive, like racing. You constantly turn your arms left and right. You know, so boxing is a good indicator of that. And then the impact, you know, the bouncing around the ring, the speed bag, the skipping rope, everything that you do in boxing training nearly directly relates to what we do to try to simulate a race car. So, you know, we find it's pretty helpful.
Now, as far as boxers, what kind of boxers do you like in the past and like in the present now?
To be honest, I've only really gotten involved watching boxing since I started training. I didn't find it too interesting until I really understood what was going on. But I have to say I quite like Floyd Mayweather's style. You know, he's cocky and arrogant, but he's never lost. So, you know, that's something that I'd love to be able to replicate.
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, he trains extensively towards his jump roping and conditioning, so he's always very conditioned, and he's very good with his hands.
Yeah, no, he was probably the fastest fighter, you know, out there in every weight division that he fought. I think he won world titles at 5 weights now.
Yep.
And then his overall fitness is nearly what won him probably most of those bouts. You know, as his opponent struggled in the last 4 rounds, he was always able to attack them with, you know, the same ferocity that you started. So, you know, obviously he's a supreme athlete, and we could all learn something from him.
So basically on the track, we're going to look for you going left, right, and then up the middle. Is that correct?
I'm going to be going anywhere where there's a gap, and probably sometimes where there isn't, that's for sure.
Now, we're trying to figure out is that a lot of times drivers get interviews. We're trying to ask questions that are not normally answered or asked to help our listeners understand what it's like when you're sitting in that crotch rocket heading down about 100+ miles an hour, and you've got a space. How do you gauge it's the right time to cut in on that turn to make that pass? What are the things that you have to calculate? Because we always see images on, we always hear drivers talk about. What do you look for your opening to start gaining on people in this quick race?
It really changes as you get further up, because when you're starting at the back like I am, but I'm not slow, you know, I should be much higher up the grid. You just dive bomb the slower cars because you know that they're watching for you because they know you're going to come through. When you get up to the good drivers and you know they're going to battle you for position, you really have to know their patterns, where they've been braking lap by lap, and then you can sort of gauge your own performance of that, and you know you can base your own decisions of what you think they've been doing, you know, the previous laps, and if they give you half a chance, you know, on a track like this, at Sonoma where it's difficult to pass, you just take it.
And it's sort of like in boxing, do you study a lot of footage of your competition, or do you study a lot of footage on the track itself, or do you see a lot of games on the track itself so you understand where the pitfalls are?
Well, we actually have data on the car which records everything from steering inputs to throttle, brake, the gear shift, RPM, loads on all the wheels, the overall downforce, the balance of the downforce. And it's really nearly unlimited the amount of information we download from the cars. So we study that extensively. It's probably one of the #1 things that we do. We overlay the data from our laps to past laps to, you know, other drivers that we have. Teammates come in very handy. You know, so we do study a lot. It's not really like watching a fighting video, but you know, it's really similar.
Now, we're going to let you go because we know that you've had a bad week. We want to say thank you for taking the time with us. We called late because of our error on our side, because we had some personal issues because of the time difference here. I'm trying to run down during this horrific storm that hit Detroit just about maybe less than an hour ago, and we're trying to get through it. So we want to say thank you, Wade Cunningham, for taking the time and speaking with us on a day like you've had. And we want to say...
Probably didn't want to talk to me an hour ago anyway.
All right. Well, good. Thank you for taking the time and speaking with us. You are going to be one of the guys we're going to follow. We're going to make sure everybody updates what's going on with it. We're wondering if we could give you a call maybe another week to find out how things are going and setting up for yourself.
Absolutely, no problem.
Wonderful, Wade. Thanks for so much for taking the time. I want to appreciate it, guys. The Z Sports Lounge. You got to watch Wade Cunningham in the Indy Pro Series. He's someone to watch. He's got the boxing background, so you know he's going to weave left and right and go right up the middle and try to do a knockout every time when he races, guys. Thanks so much, Wade.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.